no Jordans. Me and my niggas need foreigns. Me and my niggas need touring. Me and my niggas important. We need Franks, no oceans. Hit it one time, I'll focus. We don't like chicks, it's boring. Niggas be fucking like gang gang, but they don't be wanting the same thing. I had to put gas in my own tank. I'm king of the hill with the propane. Who knew that this money would change things? Who knew that they lie in their own way? You told me she loved me the same fate. I'm busting it down so ain't shit changed.
Woo! If the Philadelphia 76ers season is anything like it was in the last week, you better buckle up and strap up because it's going to be a wild, wild roller coaster ride for the rest of this season. Another week in the books for the Sixers, another 3 games to talk about. Here with me, we're going to discuss the Sixers week that was, and some of you are probably going to hate what I'm going to say. But guys, let's talk about it all. I'm in Parcero Philly, uniting all through sports and culture here in Philadelphia. And today, we're recapping the Sixers week that was. Let's get this, guys. Yeah. All right, guys, before we start this off, first off, I want to say thank you for tuning in. But please, we are trying to grow Parcero Philly here in Philadelphia in Philly sports. The goal is we are trying to be a voice here in the Philadelphia sports landscape. But I could use your guys' help. Help me out here by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell button for notifications, sharing this video, as well as this channel. That's right, guys. In the last week, the Sixers had 3 games to kick off with. Guys, let's start off the Sixers week by discussing last Friday's game against the Oklahoma City Thunder over in OKC. Now, guys, over the last 2 to 3 years, Oklahoma City and the Philadelphia 76ers have put together some pretty good games that were, quite frankly, pretty damn entertaining. The battle between JoJo and Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Ben Simmons, it honestly was a good matchup. And I know some in Sixers Nation were trying to make this into a rivalry, but, you know, when you don't really play the team in the playoffs, it's really tough to call it a rivalry. But there were some great regular season games that both teams gave us. And now this year was a little different between OKC and Philadelphia. There was no more Russell Westbrook and no more Paul George for OKC, and this was a new OKC team led by the aging veteran Chris Paul. And a game that we thought would be easy for us to win became a back and forth battle, and unfortunately one we could not prevail. But just like the past OKC games, this was an absolute thriller, and we would actually go into overtime against Oklahoma City. The game would be back and forth throughout all 4 quarters, and our starting lineup actually played pretty decent. JoJo led the team with 31 points, while Tobias Harris would bounce back with 21 points, and Josh Richardson played a pretty damn good game, put up 28 points, and his jumper was looking silky smooth. Ben Simmons would add on 16 points as well. Al Horford did not look like the Al Horford we are used to. He at times was a defensive liability and would only put up 12 points in this game. And if you're not going to score Al Horford, you got to grab them boards. And 4 boards ain't gonna cut it. And another issue with the Sixers on this game was the bench did not step it up at all. They got absolute close to nothing of production from our bench, something we really haven't seen this season from the Sixers team. The highest scorer would have 3 points, and that would be 3 players. We'd have Korkmaz, Mike Scott, and Raul Neto, all with 3 points. Guys, if we want to win, the bench has to do their part. OKC in the second half looked like the better team, but the Sixers prevailed and battled through and found a way to tie this game up. And we would go into overtime, and that is where we would crumble. Throughout this game, Terrence Ferguson, Danilo Gallinari, and Silas Gilgeous-Alexander would absolutely destroy us with their scoring. They did their part with their shooting. Chris Paul was facilitating an action and put up some points himself, and Steven Adams was a constant clog down in the paint for OKC. And OT was some bad shots that were taken by the Sixers. OKC was able to take advantage of it and convert it into points of their own, and that is how they would win the game. Final score would be 127 to 119. OKC would win. And after this game, a lot of criticism would be given to Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Granted, both those guys took bad shots. But guys, one thing we have to remember, it is still pretty early in the season. Like, the Sixers haven't even played 20 games. We're not even a quarter of a way through of our NBA season thus far. And yet, Sixers fans are already getting tired and restless over these guys. But we will discuss Ben Simmons in a little bit because his game would not be this one. So unfortunately, this week would start off with on the losing side, losing to OKC in heartbreak fashion. But then the next game would be Sunday afternoon, a game that, let's be real, who the hell was watching the Sixers when we were all preparing for the Birds at 4:25. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was down in South Philly preparing for the Eagles game just like everyone else. But Cleveland this year, as we all know, are not that good of a team, and the Sixers showed up. It was definitely a game that they needed after the OKC game. The bench stepped it up, and we found a way to win this game. We saw James Ennis get 14 points, and Korkmaz finish the game with 13. Tobias would lead the scoring for the Sixers with 27 points. And Al Horford, again, did not have a good game, finishing the game with 11 points, but did have 6 boards. Although Cleveland is not one of the stronger teams this season, definitely was a win that they needed. Back-to-back heartbreaking losses that the Sixers should have won against the Orlando Magic and Oklahoma City Thunder. Beating the Cleveland Cavs Sunday was a game that they needed to have. It was uneventful, but they got it done. Final score being 114-95. And then there was the game everyone wanted to talk about, and that was Wednesday night. The Sixers had 2 days off to prepare for this game. We would face off against the New York Knickerbockers, and obviously, as we all know, the New York Knicks are going through a little bit of a tank after making fun of our tank a couple years ago. They're going on their own little tank. And this year's team, although on paper does not look like a very talented team, what I have noticed from this Knicks team this season, it is a team that plays hard night in and night out. And for the Sixers, it was important not to overlook this team. But in a weird turn of events, the Knicks showed up to play, would give us a game here. It was a hard-fought game for the Sixers. It was a back-and-forth game as well. Frank Ntilikina for the Knicks stepped it up and looked good. He had 17 points. And throughout the game, the Knicks were just not going anywhere. And of course, the Knicks were led by an old friend of ours that we all hate here in Philadelphia, and that was Marcus Morris. We all know his time with the Boston Celtics and how much he fucking irritated the shit out of us the last 2 seasons. So I spent some time with the Boston Celtics, and he is a Philadelphia native, yeah, but he ain't no damn Philadelphian anymore. And the Knicks were led by that same Marcus Morris character, and I'll give credit where credit is due. Marcus Morris led this team. This team came out ready to brawl with us, and Marcus actually got into a little scuffle with JoJo. This is definitely animosity that would led to last year and the year before. In Marcus Morris's words, he's tired of Joel Embiid's flopping and grabbing. Now, guys, what you gotta realize is JoJo is a mind fucker. All right, he loves to get in people's heads, and if he gets in your head, he won. He already owns you. And that is what he was trying to do with Marcus Morris. You know, Marcus Morris definitely is no bitch and is ready to throw hands at any time. And JoJo's just going to keep egging that on. They got in a little scuffle, wouldn't lead to much, just some heavy back and forth yelling. Everyone would go back to their own end of the sidelines, and we would continue play. But that definitely set the tone for this game. And you know what, guys? I hope to see more stuff like that. You know, the Knicks and the Sixers, it is a rivalry, but not on the court so much. It has been a rivalry in the stands with, you know, Philly and New York are always going to hate each other. It's just built in our DNAs. But if we can actually get something on the court that could build this rivalry, I am all for it, because you know what? Fuck New York. But of course, the moment everyone wants to talk about in this game is Ben Simmons shooting his first NBA regular season 3 in the first half.
A below average three-point shooter. There's Simmons. Yes! He did it! Ben Simmons! Hold me back there! Maybe now they'll finally leave him alone after that. He hits the three. His first in his NBA career.
Place went wild. We literally have become a city that literally is just waiting for Ben Simmons to just shoot. Anytime Ben Simmons shoots any sort of jumper, let alone a 3, we legit stop what we're doing just to see it. It's crazy that we've come to this point, but I get it. You know, Ben Simmons is a different talent that we have never seen in the NBA, to be quite frank with you. His vision on the court, his body size, it is something that you don't see every day in a point guard. But the fact that he really doesn't shoot, definitely, yeah, it is worrisome and it is a little irritating. but give the guy a damn break. My man is still scoring, and he's going to keep building on this. The one thing I will say about Ben Simmons, I want to see him just attack a little bit more. I want to see him be a fearless scorer at some points. I want to see him in the fourth quarter when you're down 2 points. I want to see the ball in his hands, and I want to see that Mamba mentality to win the game for the Sixers. We still have yet to see that. That's the only criticism I'll have about Ben Simmons. But of course, it is always fun seeing him shoot a jumper. He would finish this game with 18 points. It was a definitely good performance by him, and he put the team on his back, quite frankly. The bench would step it up as well, and Joel Embiid would add 23 points. The Sixers would win this game 109-104, and a lot of people want to criticize the Sixers for not destroying the New York Knicks. Guys, let me tell you something. This is the NBA. This is the best of the best. Not every team is going to be a walkthrough. If you guys remember when we were tanking, teams had issues trying to beat us as well. Just because a team is going through some sort of a rebuild doesn't mean that they are an absolute terrible team and that we should absolutely destroy them. There's still NBA quality on the Knicks, like Marcus Morris, like a Frank Ntilikina, who's actually starting to find his way now with this New York Knicks team. You got Julius Randle, you got Taj Gibson, an NBA vet. There's actual NBA players on that team. Unlike when we were tanking, we really didn't have a lot of NBA talent. Just players who needed to plug in there. I'm happy that the Sixers found a way to squeak out this win. That's something that the team can build upon, and later on down the line, they won't have these problems. But guys, there's two guys I want to discuss over the last week that have hit sort of a decline, and that was the best friends in the locker room. Al Horford and Furkan Korkmaz have been on a little bit of a decline this week offensively. Obviously, Korkmaz, we remember after getting that game winner in Portland, had a 2 to 3 game stretch where my man was scoring. He was putting up numbers, and he looked confident. He looked fluid. And now he hit maybe a little bit of a wall. But this week, I'm going to keep my eye on him, seeing if he can get back there. And Al Horford, not so worried about him. He's an NBA veteran. He's been here. He's done that. He's just going through a little bit of a skid right now. Not a strong week for him as well. I'll keep an eye out for him, but I am not worried about Al Horford. Now, guys, in the last week, we went 2-1 in those 3 games that we played this week. Now, granted, they weren't all strong opponents. A lot of people like to just talk about, just because the Sixers played 3 bottom half teams in the NBA, doesn't mean we shouldn't be happy for this team. We're not even a quarter way through our NBA season. Sixers are still with a winning record, and they are going to get better. Just take it easy on Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. They are going to get better as well, guys. All right, this week is going to be a fun-ass week. We got 4 games this week, guys. Starting off on Friday, we face off against Brett Brown's former team, the San Antonio Spurs. Pop is coming into town. And as always, fun games to play. But then we have a back-to-back. And Saturday night is the game we have all circled in our calendar. It is the return of Jimmy Butler coming back to the Wells Fargo Center to face off against us. That is a game you do not want to miss, guys. It'll be interesting to see what Jimmy does in his return back to Philly. He's always motivated when he returns back to former teams, but this team is a little different because he left us. We didn't get rid of him. He left us. But we wanted him back. He left us. That is going to be fun. I'm curious to see what the reaction by a Sixers fan is going to be. My guess is going to be a lot of boos for the fact that he left us for less money and a lesser team and a less talented team. But we will see what happens. That is going to be a fun game to watch. And then Monday, it gets even more fun because the Sixers travel to Toronto to face off against the Toronto Raptors. But they don't have Kawhi Leonard, but still, it's going to be good to get some payback. And then they'll come back home on Wednesday. That's where we'll end the week, as the Sixers will host the Sacramento Kings. That will also be fun. A lot of good young talent on both sides of the court. Guys, I know a lot of you guys are not too pleased with the performances the Sixers have put together over the last week. It's still a long season. It's the reason why they play 82 games. I'm not losing faith and I'm not losing hope. I'm not losing my mind like some of you guys are, but you guys shouldn't either. These guys are still finding their way. They're going to figure it out. But guys, I want to hear from you in the comments below. Let's talk Sixers. What is your mindset at when it comes to the Sixers right now? Let me know in the comments below. But guys, thank you so much for watching this channel. I really appreciate it. We are trying to grow this channel, become a known entity here in the Philadelphia sports landscape, and I could use your guys' help to get that done. Help me out by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell button for notifications, and sharing this video. as well as his chain. Guys, if you want to catch me on any social media platform, definitely do that. Follow me on Twitter at Parcero Philly, and on Instagram you can follow me as well at LEL_Parcero PARCERO_Philly. And until next time, mi gente, always, 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 always